I think we all have that one OC that we somewhat favor over the others, and I bet you saw the thumbnail and thought, really? That guy? The guy who's so far appeared in one chapter? The guy who goes on 5-hour advocacy rants? Yes, that guy. And I think I do a pretty well job in making sure my favoritism towards him doesn't ruin the story. It may seem like Gioni is my favorite character because she's like in every single video, but no. She's a character I enjoy, sure, but she's not my favorite. She's just the main character, so she just happens to have more lore than the others, you know? But in reality, it's this half side character, half deuteragonist that is my favorite. So let's talk about that. Having an OC that is your favorite and balancing them within the story. In this video, I kind of just want to vibe with you guys and talk about this topic that I find somewhat interesting. Let's get into the roots of why a character may be the favorite. Okay, so I'm going to break this into 3 reasons why a character could possibly be favored over the others. There's probably more, but let's just stick to 3. They're either fun to write, they remind you of someone else, familiarity, or you like their design. For me, this dude checks off like all 3. He's insanely fun to write, I'ma be honest. To summarize Emmett, he is very assertive with hints of insecurity. He used to be a thief, but now he likes reading abandoned medical journals and books because it's a post-apocalyptic world, and what else is this introvert gonna do?
And the song says, I know of a place where you'll never get harmed, a magical place with magical charms, indoors, indoors, indoors.
He's willing to take risks, but he's insanely cautious, somewhat pretentious, and sometimes arrogant. But at the end of the day, he cares for those who care about him and values the safety of his friends. Here's an example of chapter 24 that I believe sums up his character just enough. Sorry guys, I'm no voice actor, but here's my best male voice. If you want to stop making mistakes, you have to stop neglecting your health. A symptom of starvation is impaired thinking, and I don't even want to explain what happens to your brain when you don't sleep. Now please, at least try to eat something. The delivery of his words sounds like he doesn't care, but his words show that he does care, and that's why he's fun to write. But sometimes just writing his replies is what's fun to me. He says things that Gioni would never say. So, you aren't upset? Upset beyond belief, at first, until I got a spine full of crowbar. What a reminder of why this place sucks. For one thing, they communicate and solve all their problems through a metal rod, and I'll be damned if you think I'd get caught up in Atticus's dumb war. They won't tell us specifically what happened to our parents, but we're supposed to blindly and optimistically become agents just like them? That's what I've been saying to Hippie Girl this entire time. What's so noble to end up on a missing persons list or worse? Someone just died from a tenebris bite. I saw it. I don't know what to do. What can we do? Not much if they're already dead. Compared to Gioni, who is more of a passive speaker, I think it's just fun to have a character who isn't that, who's more assertive in the way they phrase sentences. While Gioni gives way too many hoots, Emmett gives no hoots. So that leads to the second reason. They remind you of someone else you like. Familiarity. Guys, I'm blanking so hard right now. I'm trying to piece together where this personality type came from. Did I know someone like this? Was there a cartoon character I knew like this? Did I read a book with a character like this? I don't know. The key trope is an insecure, arrogant asshole. You know, someone who's awful on the outside but deep down is caring. I don't know. Comment section, help me out. Tell me which character exists like that, because I don't think I made it up. Next, we have the design.
Well, I think there's hope. I hope you don't wear this outfit again.
Nothing about this really screams to me. If I'm really being honest. Male characters in general are hard to dress because clothes are so limited when it comes to them. So many artists I know don't draw guys, and I don't blame them. But I tried, and I thought that 2000s trend of wearing a t-shirt with a long sleeve shirt underneath would fit him. The color palette is a dubious one. I think I based it off Surgeon colors, then told myself I'd change the palette. Now he's everywhere with this turquoise shirt, and I can't change it. But his hair, His hair alone takes up 90% of the reason why I enjoy this design.
Who the fuck did your hair? What? Nah, I'm on the phone.
You see, I don't give this spiky quiff hairstyle to everybody. By the way, this is a spiky quiff in real life. Now, what makes this hairstyle so special? Well, of course, Chas McFreely and Travis Scott. Not that Travis Scott, but this Travis Scott that is based on that Travis Scott who has no relation to that Travis Scott who should really stick by his real name, Jock Berman Webster II, and let the real Travis Scott be Travis Scott. But that's another rant for another day. Anyway, I used to draw Chas and Travis religiously, to the point where I could draw this head shape and hairstyle unusually quick. And since I enjoy characters with this hairstyle, and since Emmett has this hairstyle, that means that I enjoy Emmett's character. The math is biased math, sure, but it's math nonetheless. Emmett is just blue Travis when you think about it, cause I'm a thief, and no one's gonna stop me from stealing. Also, fun fact, Chas is based off this guy named Chandra, and this guy's photos are absolutely peak 2007. And with such influences, I guess Emmett's design is probably 2000s nostalgia, minus the palette. Take away the colors, he's 2007. But yeah, there are the arbitrary reasons why an OC may be favored over another. I'd say for me, he's 60% fun to write, 20% he reminds me of another character type I enjoy, and 20% of it is his design. Those percentages may fluctuate with your own OC, but that's for you to find out. Now that we see why an OC can be the favorite, now let's evaluate how to prevent your favoritism towards them from overpowering the story. We've all seen them, we all know them. The creator's pet. This is usually a character that everybody hates, but they somehow take up the bulk of the screen time. It's funny because while researching for this video, I found some random website called the Loathsome Character Wiki, and there's a section dedicated to creators' pets. And I love it, because I feel so validated that I'm not the only one who hates some of these characters. Mike and Zoe, I hated them so much when I was a teenager, and even to this day I still hate them. Compared to other characters, they seem to get away with everything so easily. Commando Zoe is just a Deus Machina way to give the most basic character to exist some edge, and the same goes for Mal in All Stars when it came around. Now, that opinion could go get me shot in an alleyway, but the fact that they're all on this list gave me the courage to say what I've been thinking for a decade now. But despite all the negative things I said, it's clear that Mike and Zoe were loved by the people who wrote them. So loved that they got plenty of screen time and plot armor to eventually win total drama. This makes me wonder if I ever did anything to show favoritism towards Emmett compared to the other characters. Maybe, because someone told me before that Emmett was their least favorite character. Now, in my defense, I think it's because I kept showing them all my sketches of Emmett.
Another one, thank you. Another one, thank you. Another one, thank you. Another one, thank you.
And to top it off, they played Pizza Pocket, chose the option to debate him, and expose how annoying this character is when pissed off. But it raises the question, how is my favorite character someone else's least favorite character? It comes to overexposure, and one scene where he's insanely insufferable. And that's something to watch out for as a creator, ensuring that your love for a character doesn't make others hate them. Thank God when it became time to write my book, Emmett isn't in every scene. His personality and character is much more enjoyable in chunks. As the old saying goes, everything is better in moderation. For a character as flawed, imperfect, and dubiously immoral as Emmett, he really needs to sit down for some parts of the story, and that's fine by me.
Hey, never forget that the reason why combination KFC, Taco Bell, Pizza Huts exist in the first place is because Pepsi couldn't compete with Coca-Cola in the fast food marketplace. See, for the longest time, Pepsi's unofficial slogan was, is Pepsi okay? Because everyone was ordering Coke. So every restaurant was turning Pepsi down. Pepsi took a look at the numbers and realized it was cheaper to buy 3 fast food chains than to actually compete in the marketplace with Coca-Cola. So that's what they did. They bought KFC, Taco Bell, and Pizza Hut. So once they got those together, they started running them as a division of Pepsi. After a while, they spun that off as its own company called Yum Brands. But if you go to any of those locations, they still only carry Pepsi. Yum Brands turned around and looked at the fact that they had 3 restaurants that all serve Pepsi and realized it would be cheaper to go ahead and combine a couple couple of these restaurants, so then they don't have to have as many physical locations to be able to still encapsulate a market. They thought that idea was so genius and how much money they would save from not having locations that they then took those savings and used that to lobby both the federal government in Washington and all of your fun state governments to make sure that the minimum wage was kept low, to make sure that they could keep paying people dirt wages, so that way they could keep saving money and giving that money back to their shareholders. Which is the reason why today, when I wanted Taco Bell, the damn lobby was closed because nobody wants to work at Taco Bell for fucking minimum wage. Because it's $7.25 in fucking Pennsylvania. The minimum wage in Pennsylvania is $7.25 an hour. And I just wanted a fucking Mexican pizza. But nobody was there to work to keep the fucking lobby open. And I don't want to eat a Mexican pizza in my car. It smells like shit, but it tastes delicious. I just want to eat a fucking Mexican pizza. And they don't have enough staff to have a fucking open lobby. And also I want access to the bathrooms. But no, Pepsi couldn't compete with Coca-Cola back in 1973. So I had to eat a Mexican pizza in my car. And now my Nissan Rogue smells like shit.
By the way, you know who else made it to this site? Cassandra. Not surprised, really. I enjoy Cassandra now, but on my initial watching of Tangled the series, I hated her. She was always angry and complaining, but her biggest sin to me was how often she fought with Eugene. At this point, I'd watched the original Tangled about 1,000,000 times, so when I started the show, I was really fond of the original cast, and seeing how they were overshadowed and disrespected by Cass kind of bugged me. Of course, over time, I grew to love her, but I had to, cause she's the creator's pet. Do you guys like drama? Surprisingly, Tangled the series has some fun drama surrounding it. Now, I'll keep this brief, but I'll link a detailed post going over it. If you never watched Tangled the series, I still encourage you to read it because it's freaking wild. So basically, a character named Varian gets really popular. So popular that one of the producers got heated that Varian was getting more attention than Rapunzel. Like, literally. He'd claimed that anyone focusing on Varian was watching the show wrong. And even during live streams of the show, he had a rule that no one was allowed to talk about Varian during the streams, which is so insane. So essentially, the rule is that it's Rapunzel's stories, so we all have to focus on Rapunzel. Right? Wrong. So as we get to season 3, all of a sudden Cassandra gets a huge focus on her arc, to the point where I could see why it's called Tangled the Series and not Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure. So while Rapunzel was sidelined, the fans and producers gave Cassandra a ton of attention. The whole sentiment about focusing only on the main character went out the door. Instead, it's okay to talk about Cassandra and not Varian. Backtracking a bit, he even said that Varian's purpose was to serve Rapunzel's arc. I'll repeat that because he just said the quiet part out loud. One character's purpose is only to serve another character's arc. The whole Tangled the series situation really demonstrates what happens when you favor certain characters over others to the point where the story becomes unbalanced, the fans become unsatisfied, and everyone is miserable at the end. The producer's takes on his own show were so bad that they kicked him out of the Discord. Imagine creating something, but getting upset how people interact with your story. Absolute chaos. Now, I think it's okay to say a character's only purpose is to serve another's arc. Well, you say that to yourself, you don't say that out loud. After all, plenty, if not many, stories do this, but I think great stories develop the cast and not just a single character. Now, I'm not saying to cram 50 character arcs into a single chapter, but more so having characters that don't show up to give sage advice and then peace out the following scene.
Change the world. My final message. Goodbye.
And it's probably even worse to develop some characters but ignore others. It's truly a tragic time to watch people cry for more Varian or cry for less Cassandra. There needs to be a medium, and I think I do it well in my own story. One thing I always try to do is give everyone an active motive, at least the characters we see often. No one's motive overshadows the others. In fact, I would go as far as to say Gioni, Kathy, and Emmett all have the same end goal. But what sets them apart is how they approach getting to that end goal. And to characters that don't have the same goal, it's the actions of others that send a ripple effect, negatively or positively affecting their life, therefore getting them involved. And when it comes to developing each character, I like to create a take and receive approach, meaning everyone doesn't exist solely to develop Gioni just because she's the main character, and everyone doesn't exist to develop Emmett just because he's my favorite character. Instead, everyone learns from one another. Gioni learns from Emmett how to be more cautious because being cautious is a strength that he has. And Emmett learns from Gioni to be more compassionate because that's a strength that she has. Because both characters are flawed, but both characters can grow from each other's strengths. I think it's more real like that. And because humans, we teach other humans. And also, we learn from other humans. Don't develop just one character. That's the telltale sign that that's the creator's pet. Instead, allow their motives to flow interwoven to the entire story. Not take over the story, but flow organically. And if you're so adamant about giving them their own story that overpowers everything, that's what an AU is for, my guy. That's what a spinoff is, my guy. And even then, that can lead to a disaster. But yeah, that's a whole nother video. Emmett is such a contrast to Gioni, and that's so hilarious to me because, like, I don't even know how these two maintain a friendship. Their morals don't align at all, but they have the same goal. Here's a quick example. In chapter 513, I received a comment that read, "Gioni, why? Your literal get out of jail free card was right there." I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you like that. I just read everything like that. I'm so sorry. For context, Gioni needed a payment for Geogen because she ran out of money. So hippie girl showed off some jewelry that she received from desperate people during the Tenebrous outbreak, basically selling her junk weapons for gold. It's akin to that one dude that was buying 17,000 hand sanitizers during the pandemic and tried to sell it, but he couldn't sell it, taking advantage of desperate people. So yeah, it's basically that, but in a post-apocalyptic world. Now, Gioni saw this and said, no. It's just her character to never take from others, to never hurt others, no matter how much she's hurting herself. Now, she may hurt others unintentionally, but never is it intentional. Okay, on the other hand, Emmett does not care about other people. If he were in the same scene... If he was in the same scene, he would have taken the supply and demand jewelry and not think twice about it. Okay, so here's another example. In chapter 1, Gioni is stopped by Mac. She points a lance at him, but hesitates to attack. In fact, she says as much that she doesn't want to fight him, and at the end, she ends up kissing the floor. In chapter 11, Emmett gets stopped by Mac, so you know what he does? He immediately throws a rock at his chest, then at his head, then tries to hide his unconscious body. This dude, I swear. That's why I think it's good to have this jerk face in the story. He's just a necessary contrast to the main character, giving options on how different people would react to different situations. Anyway, that's all fun and whatnot, but I'm not done yapping yet. Let me touch on some other ways to avoid making your favoritism obvious in the story. Just small, subtle ways. Okay, the first method is a simple one. Having someone hate your character. And I mean true hate. Real hate. Not the type of hate that's like, oh, your character is so hated because she's so pretty and so talented and so perfect. No. Which, disclaimer, I mean, I think that could work well if written well, but I want real hate. The type of hate that stems from flaws and bitterness. How did I describe Emmett in the beginning of this video? He's a former thief, he's insanely cautious but somewhat pretentious and sometimes arrogant. He only cares about himself and his friends. Well, surprising to no one, there's a character who absolutely hates him, who actively awaits his downfall, who thrives off his misery and wants him to feel as miserable as his presence makes her feel. Don't believe me? Here's what she said to him in chapter 29. You are awful, and now you're getting exactly what you deserve. If you were to finally die tomorrow, no one will care. I know it. Everyone in City 2 knows it. You don't deserve to know anything except the hate we all feel for you. So never, never ask me again what you did. Now, who do you think said that insane line? Someone who truly deserves a spot on Mount Hatemore. And though Kathy is somewhat of a hater, remember that every hater has their own reasons. I mean, Let's dissect this sentence, shall we? His personality is his biggest flaw, and because of that, he gets some sort of karma. Most people are already implied not to like him. Of course, this last sentence refers to a past encounter. It was a negative interaction, but he doesn't remember. Why? Because he probably doesn't care to remember. All of this comes together to kind of ground this character. He's not rewarded at all for the way he is. There's a real justifiable reason why he's hated. And from this, it's all up to him to take this information and improve, or take this information and continue being an asshole. I guess read the book to find out. Ha ha ha. But yeah, that's one way to avoid favoritism. Make the character hated. The second way is just to make sure there isn't plot armor. If Gioni does something dumb, she pays for it every single time. So if Emmett does something dumb, he can't get away with it. He gets hurt just like everybody else. The third way to not show favoritism, don't make them one personality trait all the time. Sure, I describe Emmett as arrogant, but there are many times where he shows concern and compassion, putting his own ideas aside for someone else. No one is just one thing all the time. I'm basically saying don't Flanderize your character. And with that, I think that's basically how to keep your favorite character in check. While making this video, I surprisingly learned a lot about myself as a writer and my process. And funny enough, after researching Emmett, I think I started to hate him just a little bit. I think this whole video dedicated to Emmett, I think I'm just tired of him. I'm done talking about him for like at least a month, okay? I say that and then watch the next video. The next video, I'm just gonna talk about him again. But anyway, I think my biggest draw is that I could see he's an awful character in book 1. But while writing book 2, he's grown so much as a character, and I just can't wait for this prick to finally drop some of that jerk persona and become the person he truly is deep down inside. Gotta thank you all for sticking around to the end of this and listening to me yap about Emmett for what seems like forever. It literally means so much to me, and I thank you guys a lot. But yeah, that's it. That's the video. Check out my book. It's illustrated and animated per page. It's sci-fi and adventure. I've been talking about Emmett all video, but Emmett surprisingly has appeared in one chapter so far, chapter 4. I'm currently working on chapter 9 and oh my gosh, he's coming back for chapter 10 and I'm not ready. But anyway, check out my book if you're interested. That will be linked below. Also, I've made a newsletter for my book chapter updates. So if you're reading now and you don't know when I'm gonna drop a new chapter, because I don't know, I'm kind of random, I can send you updates every time I add a new chapter to my book. That'll be linked below. I also have a Discord for artists and writers that'll also be linked below. Like and subscribe and whatever, that's like much appreciated. Have fun creating today, and I'll see you guys later.